This is Sony Xperia One Mark II. It is an elegant smartphone that has a beautiful 6.5-inch 21:9 Cine-wide 4K HDR OLED display. The triple rear camera system has Zeiss lenses and Zeiss T coating, and it is developed with Sony's alpha camera engineers. That is why it comes with true pro photo and video apps that gives you almost all the options professional cameras have. Behind its 24mm f1.7 lens, it has 12 megapixel 1/1.7-inch dual photodiode sensor with larger pixels, which performs great in low light. It can record up to 4K 60 frames per second HDR videos in H.264 and H.265 and shoot 1080p 120 frames per second slow-mo. Xperia One Mark II can shoot 20 frames per second burst photos with autofocus and exposure in JPEG mode up to 200 photos. This thing can calculate focus and exposure 60 times per second and focus in 0.03 seconds. It also has an indirect time of flight sensor to help with the focus. With features like these, Xperia One Mark II can easily become a videographer or a photographer's dream smartphone. So I guess the question is this $1,200 smartphone any good? Well, thank you very much for watching this episode, and I hope you enjoyed it. What? You want the rest of the video? Well, okay. Here we go. Let's get to the unboxing. And here it is. Xperia One Mark II comes in this clean and minimalist box. And if you ordered it in time, it comes with this complimentary Sony WF-1000XM3 headset. Since unboxing experience has never been Sony's strong side, Xperia's unboxing experience falls a little short, if you will. Inside the box, we're greeted with Xperia One Mark II in its plastic bag, and when it comes to sizzle test, Xperia gives ASMR lovers absolutely nothing. But you can always play with the plastic bag that it came in. Then we're greeted with some papers, 18-watt charger, USB-C to USB-C cable, in-ear headphones, and some extra tips. And that's pretty much it. Xperia has the memory card and SIM card tray on the left side of the phone, which by the way can be pulled out very easily. On the right side we have the volume rockers, on-off Google Assistant, fingerprint scanner, and the shutter button. On the top we have a small mic hole and a strange big black hole next to it, which I have no idea what it is for. And at the bottom we have USB-C port and another mic hole. Fingerprint scanner works as expected, no problems there at all. However, this feature called Sight Sense takes a little time to get used to it. Now, let's take a look at the benchmark tests. In Geekbench CPU test, Xperia gets the highest score. In compute test, OnePlus 8 Pro takes the lead. When it comes to AnTuTu, OnePlus 8 Pro once again is leading the pack, and when it comes to graphic bench, S20 Ultra and Xperia leaves OnePlus 8 Pro behind. But since these results are mostly for a general idea, let's put these phones through a real test, exporting a 4K 3.58GB MP4 file into 1080p using Adobe Rush. Xperia Xperia 1 Mark II finishes exporting in 17 minutes and 9 seconds and takes the third place right in front of S20 Ultra. When it comes to launching games off of these phones, since Epic Games launched itself off of these platforms, we turn to Call of Duty Mobile, and all of these devices launched the game around 20 seconds, as of the moment I filmed this video. Now let's talk about the camera apps here. First, we have the standard camera app, which is here. And when we go into this, for example, let's switch to video mode and go into the settings. And as you can see, it doesn't give you much control over the resolution and the frame rate. This is very standard. It looks like pixels, you know, camera settings. It has an HDR setting that allows you to capture footage in HDR. This is without HDR and this is with HDR. But as you can see, while you're recording, there's no switching between lenses. You can only switch between lenses while you're not recording. Even if you pause, it doesn't allow you to switch between lenses. You're only given the digital zoom. Hello, Future Farooq here, editing this video. I just ran outside with OnePlus 8 Pro and iPhone 11 Pro Max to show you something. Watch this. This is OnePlus 8 Pro switching between lenses. As you can see, there's this constant jiggle and jump between the lenses are very obvious. And then the color changes between lenses. The color tone changes. And then it's constantly shaking. And then there's going to be a huge shake here. That's entirely the phone. And another little jump. This is OnePlus 8 Pro, which is actually better than S20 Ultra. And this is iPhone, and this is iPhone 11 Pro Max. Now watch this. We're zooming in. Nothing is shaking. Everything is looking fine. We switched between lenses. Did you see that? And we switched between lenses again. And all three lenses are very similar. They look very similar. You cannot tell that there's a color tone difference in between them. A switch happened, and then another switch happened. So this is, unless you do it this way, maybe you shouldn't do it at all. Even though I enjoy having the ability to switch between lenses, since Sony is aiming towards the professionals a little bit more, I feel maybe that's why they didn't add this feature. Maybe with a future update they can put that feature in here, because it is kind of useful, especially in the standard app like this. Now let's switch to photo. Swipe up to go down to photo mode, and as you can see, we have screen recognition here. We have night shot, we have everything. Take a nice photo like this. You can take a nice photo in the wide angle mode, tele mode, the background blur, and tells you when your finger's on the lens. Smiling, not bad at all. When we switch to front-facing camera, now that's when things look a little, you know, not to the standards, if I may say so. It still has the scene recognition, and if we go into the mode, we still get to have the portrait. In the video mode, we get a little crop, and it can only shoot in 1080p. And the video is, it's okay. It's okay. It could have been better. I would have enjoyed something better. Now, this thing shines when you switch to the professional camera apps like the Photo Pro or Cinema Pro. Now let's go into Photo Pro. As you can see, you have your entire settings on the right side and some more settings on the left side. When you touch menu, this menu seems like the menu that is in A7S III that is going to come out soon. I cannot wait to review that one. And because it's giving you all the settings right here, it's very easy to adjust your camera and take a photo as you wish. You can hit display and get the leveler and histogram. You have histogram now. And of course, what makes this phone so advanced, it can shoot RAW, and when you shoot RAW, you can edit that photo further than any JPEG already compressed JPEG photo. I enjoyed the professional camera app on this phone a lot, but I enjoyed Camera Cinema Pro a lot more. Now in the professional camera app, you can go and change your look. And we have Venice CS look. You can change the whole pack. Bright, warm, strong, cool, soft, and soft monochrome. Depending on what kind of a story you want to tell, they give you these presets. And they're actually pretty impressive. I like the Venice. And when it comes to shutter, now it's degree. And you have to adjust it via degree, and I love that. Normally you would like to shoot in 180 degree shutter, but it's very bright outside right now. And we're gonna talk about why we need a case that allows us to mount some filters on this later on in the video. Also, you create projects in this setting. You cannot go and change your frame rate and resolution. You have your projects here. I name them according to what I want. And so I switch between them and shoot in that mode. But for example, while you're in 4K 60, you cannot switch between lenses. When you're in 4K 30 or below, you can switch between lenses as you wish. This also shoots in HLG and H.265, so keep that in mind as well. But since it's doing a lot of work, this thing sometimes overheats. In a continuous shot, indoors while it was 83 degrees, which is 28 degrees Celsius. This thing recorded for 28 minutes before it shut down from overheating. It cools down easily because it's very tiny, but that also means it heats up super fast too. So while you're outside, while you're under the hot sun, sometimes it heats up faster. The worst I got was 7 minutes under the sun. This thing's heated up in 7 minutes. When it comes to stabilization, it's not my favorite. So if I'm using this, I'll probably use it with an Osmo Mobile with the stabilization turned off. And also it would be fantastic if they can add an option to turn on the type of stabilization we like the one we have on our cameras. No stabilization, optical stabilization, and optical plus electronic image stabilization. Now, let's go back to the studio and talk about some other features of this device. Sony Xperia 1 Mark II has two front-facing speakers, unlike the iPhone where it has one speaker facing you and the other speaker is facing this way. So let's see what kind of a difference that makes. For this part, I'm gonna use Sennheiser Embio Smart Headset, which has microphones on its headset, meaning you'll be hearing what I'm hearing. Also, these are binaural headphones, so you'll be experiencing, if you wear headphones right now, you'll be experiencing the surround sound I'm hearing. So the front-facing speakers makes a huge difference, and the fact that we have Dolby option here makes it even better. And they solve this front-facing speaker design in a really nice way. You almost don't even realize there are speakers at the top and bottom of the screen. This also has the screen call function, which is a function you may remember from Google Pixel. When it comes to battery life, I've been using this device for more than 2 weeks and I can say it easily lasts a day. Xperia 1 Mark II is taller than an iPhone. It's actually as tall as S20 Ultra or OnePlus 8 Pro, but it is slimmer than these phones. The screen is 60 Hz and the brightness is 600 nits, which is not bright enough when you're taking photos outside, especially under the hot California sun. For such beautiful phone, I expected a really nice, good looking leather case and maybe another case that allows you to mount some filters and lenses, just like what we have from Polar Pro. This Light Chaser kit is a special case that allows you to mount filters and a comfortable handle to your phone. We need something similar for Xperia 1 Mark II. The placement of the buttons are really nice as well. I never knew how much I would appreciate a shutter button on a phone. One problem I faced with this is when you mount this on something, you're kind of blocking the fingerprint scanner. Also, there are some problems with the software on this device. Now let's watch this, and if you have a headphone, put it on.
Please put on your headphones. It's a new way to experience sound. Unlike stereo, which is limited to 2 audio channels.
Now I'm gonna just rotate the phone, and we're gonna watch the same part.
It's a new way to experience sound. Unlike stereo, which is limited to 2 audio channels.
Now this can be fixed easily with an update, but right now it's this way. Also, sometimes while you're watching something and you're holding the phone like this, it blocks the ambient light sensor. It doesn't actually block it, but you're kind of hovering over the ambient light sensor, and the screen dims when you don't want it to dim. Also, some stuff needs to be polished as well. Let's say you're in Photo Pro app and then you take a photo and then you go to check out your photo. When you want to go back to the app, if you just swipe the photo away, you go back into the standard camera app. But if you take a photo and then swipe right, you go back into the app you were in. Also, another interesting thing is if you put the phone in do not disturb mode, the shutter sound is muted as well. I think this is a cool feature, but I'm not sure if I want this under do not disturb. As I said before, all of that can be fixed with an update tomorrow. What makes this phone so unique is its Zeiss lenses and 1/1.7 inch 12 megapixel sensor and the ability to shoot RAW and HLG. So is it worth $1,200? I think so. I purchased many phones that I never used after reviewing it, but this one is different. I can't stop taking photos and videos with it. Since it's narrow and tall, it is easy to use in one hand, it looks great, it works great, sounds great, and for a power user like me, this thing is endless fun. In the end, I can tell you this. Do not mistake Xperia 1 Mark II to the other phones out there, because this phone is not in the same category as the phones marketed with hot words and some foolish marketing terms. If you're planning to switch to this phone, make sure you know this. This is a tool for people who are passionate about photography and videography, who loves to use the products to their limits, who has an eye and love for design, obsession for fine details. For people who loves filters, gimbals, 180-degree shutter speeds, and 21:9 aspect ratios. Xperia 1 Mark II is a device that delivers what it promises on its box, and I absolutely love that. But I may send it back because there's gonna be an Xperia Pro coming out. And if that is called the Pro, then I want that one. And it also has an HDMI in. That Pro one has an HDMI in.